Radio Exterior de España.
English Language Service.
We're here today with Manuel Rodríguez, the third of Manuel Rodríguez Guitars. We're now here to learn about his work, his company, and the Spanish guitar. To be honest, Manuel, you've already spoken with the English language broadcast before my time in 2013, when Frank, Allison, and Justin visited your warehouse in Toledo, just south of Madrid, and learned step by step how your guitars are made here. Now it's almost 10 years later, and here I am ready to learn firsthand. And I have a lot of questions, because you seem to have lived an interesting life. But first, I think we should put things into context and give our listeners a brief rundown of who you are and who your company.
First of all, congratulations that you're working here, because it's been a long time since interviews and it's great to see new faces. Well, this is a company that has, for 118 years, making people happy, making musical instruments for the world and for musicians. I'm very blessed to be the third generation of this company. It started in 1905 in San Fernando, Cádiz. My grandfather had a fishing store, and my great-grandfather was playing flamenco for Tsar Russia. It was called Los Mareki, like nowadays Paglucia. So my grandfather went bankrupt because at that time, in the First World War, a big German ship vessel, sank, and he went bankrupt because people were afraid to eat fish, because 1,000 soldiers pass away in the ocean. And then he started to make guitars for my great-grandfather. Thank of that, I am here right now with you with this interview. It wouldn't happen if that didn't happen. So, and then my grandfather went to Madrid, teach my dad. Then my dad went to LA. This was in Lavapiés, Madrid, a small workshop. A teacher from UCLA was walking and said to my dad, "We need guitar makers in California. Why don't you come with us?" So, just married, no English, $100, a few tools, went to the United States in 1955. Amazing entrepreneurship. And then I started to continue the roots. I was born in West Hollywood, me and my brother. We lived there for about 15 years. We still have our property there where I was born, rented in near Beverly Hills. And then from Spain, we covered the whole planet. Why did they came back? Well, the reason they came back, because we were only covering the U.S. market. And at that time was the hippie times, all the drugs going on. My mom was scared. So she said, "Come on, let's go back to Spain." And I think here is worse. I mean, the U.S. right now. But anyway, from here we cover the whole world, because the Spanish guitar was invented in Spain. Same like we invented the chupachus, the submarine, and the helicopter. The guitar was invented in the 17th century by Antonio de Torres from Almeria. He invented the modern guitar. And then Christopher Columbus went to the States with a vihuela, very similar as the guitar. And then from there, Martin guitars and all these old brands, and then Gibson invented the steel string guitar, and then Leo Fender, that worked with my dad in 1960s, invented the electrical guitar. So we are part of the history of the guitar.
I was wondering your story from before, when the professor from UCLA said we need guitar makers in California. Did they, who was asking for Spanish guitars in California? Who was going for those?
Well, at that time, Spanish guitar is a recognized name. It says Spanish guitar, so people ask for Spain. Thank that worldwide we are known that we are the roots of the Spanish guitar. So there's a lot of knowledge that it was invented here. So whenever you want to play a nylon string, you say Spanish guitar. That's where we are in. So it was a great prestige for my dad to go to the States, very different life differences at that time, Spain and the US. Here there was no TVs, and there started to be the black TV, just to give an example. And for me, it was tough coming back because the difference was still tough. It's when Franco left and democracy started. That's when we started to come back in Spain. But I think it's been a wonderful life because from here, books were too heavy for me to study. So my dad taught me to make guitars. And from that, I had a wonderful life. I mean, who am I to be with 45 world leaders giving guitars with the King of Spain as Marca España, or being with Jimmy Carter, auction guitars, and being with Antonio Banderas, auction guitars in Starlight in Marbella, and being with the most famous musicians like Stevie Wonder, Carlos Santana, Sting, all these guys, Maná, Raimundo Amador, or play my instruments.
You were born in California, and you said you moved here when you were 14. Do you consider yourself American or Spanish? This is a personal question.
Well, as I'm very blessed, I've been traveling around the world. As we export to 120 countries, I've been about 75 of those countries. So I consider myself a worldwide citizen. I don't consider myself Spanish or American because nowadays you can cross anywhere in 11 hours. You're a different part of the planet. So it's a different mentality.
But surely there are also differences between countries. So you've worked everywhere.
That's right.
What main differences do you find between having worked in America, for example, and Spain?
In the music, it's all the same language. Music is a universal language. Guitar is a universal instrument. Any type of music you can play. So any type of cultures, they love the guitar. Why did I went to Fiji to make a ukulele factory before the pandemic? You see, the Fijians, for example, need a ukulele to show their music and their soul. Same like we have here with flamenco. Flamenco comes from your soul, from your heart. It's not written. So each country has its own music, but they need the instruments. Electrical guitar, steel string guitars, pianos, violins, and Spanish guitars.
We had actually scheduled an interview around a month ago to talk about your company, but then I got sick and I was out for a few weeks. And when I returned to work and reached out to you again, you said, yes, I'm still available to talk. I'm just in Romania right now. So you were just on the border between Romania and Ukraine, and I really just wanted to talk about that today.
Sure, absolutely. Well, when we were trying to arrange to have a meeting for this wonderful interview, we have an agreement with the Romanian workshop there in Transylvania. This is in Egan. It's about 80 kilometers from the border of Ukraine. And they make our low-price instruments, Rodríguez guitars, because we have an alliance with Tom and Geva worldwide. And we were thinking, hey, how can we help these people? Because we need more workers. People are playing more guitars because the pandemic, people are staying more in their homes. So I said, okay, well, we are in touch with some of the families there. So hopefully soon we can start to help these people because this war, very sadly, is going to be a long time. And we need to help them.
So when did the idea exactly arise to go there?
Before I left, I think when we were talking, I was thinking, hey, we need more workers. There's not enough Romanian workers to keep up production. So when I was there, we were discussing how can we help these people because they were crossing the border and coming to these cities. So they have to speak with the unemployment office in Egan to see if they're registered because it has to be all legal, of course. And so we can help these families to maintain their kids because they're coming with their kids and their husbands are in the battle. So it's really sad how they have to split their families. And if we can give them opportunity, we must do it.
So where are those people now?
They live in pensions. They're down on the streets. So they have some budget, some money to maintain themselves maybe for a month or not more. So we need to act quick.
So how many people in total do you think?
Our idea is to get 20 or 25 families.
It's a process. It's an ongoing process.
It's an ongoing process right now, yes.
Do you have any idea when, or is it all down to bureaucracy?
Very sadly, it's all bureaucracy, and that's the disappointing point that we need to speed up. But we have to follow the regulations of the government of Romania. So at this moment, we are in that process.
So your company, I've read a lot about it, and one thing that I liked was that it's eco-friendly. You make an effort to help out the planet. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. We try to use fallen trees. We don't want to cut trees. So we, for example, when the ukulele project in Fiji, we're trying to make ekoleles, kokoleles, normal ukuleles. The kokoleles comes from the coconuts, and the ekoleles comes from the plastics of the sea. We can melt that plastic, and it's like a shell. And that shell is like a rainbow flag because you're mixing plastics, blue, white, yellow from all the ocean. And it really sounds good because when you melt that plastic, it's like fiberglass. So it has good acoustics. So we have so many potentials here to do, from using waste materials to make musical instruments. And in Fiji, you cannot imagine how many waste wood they have. They burn the wood to make power. I prefer to use that spoiled wood to make musical instruments.
The kokolele, that's from coconuts or coconut trees?
The coconuts, you cut it in half, you put a top and a neck and strings, and that was done in 1930s in Hawaii. Ooh. But now we're trying to, again, make these instruments.
Can people find those online?
There is online. Yeah, in Hawaii there is. You can check online. I mean, a new project I forgot to explain you about ukuleles in Yucatan. I have an investor with a Mexican government and private investors. There's a small church from the 16th century in the jungle of Yucatan. And we want to make ukuleles to teach the woman, Maya, the Maya woman. Why? Because their husbands are drinking alcohol and they spend the money in other things. So they need to learn a skill to work using the jade from Yucatan. This is that beautiful stone. It's green stone.
Jade.
Jade. I'm sorry. Using, I was thinking in Spanish. Using fallen trees. They have fantastic woods in Yucatan, and show them a way to live, making musical instruments. So that's, I also help people that way.
Music cures all ails.
From wood, you make a musical instrument. It's a lively instrument that makes people happy.
With charity, the Carter Foundation, which was created by Jimmy Carter, the old president of the United States. Can you tell me about that?
Sure. This was about 20 years ago. I met his teacher. He plays guitars and he loves to work with wood. So he came to Spain about 15 years ago to our workshop with all the family. He loves Spain. He loves Toledo. He loves the food. He loves El Greco paintings. So I said, President, how can we help your foundation? Because he works for River Blindness and Guinea Worm in Africa. So I said, if you sign guitars, and we can also have musicians sign, we can auction them in your auction facilities. And we got $100,000 per guitar. And we done about 10 instruments. So we really help a lot humanity, just simply making an instrument with all my hands, and help other people. I don't have that money. I just have connections, musicians, world leaders, to help el prójimo.
So the money, it comes from outside. It's not from in-house, but you pull it in and then you push it away to a cause that needs it.
That's right. Sinergias, we call that.
Synergy,
yes,
maybe?
That's right.
So now to talk about Fiji, which we've mentioned a couple of times. I understand that you inherited your company. Your company is generations of Manuel Rodríguez, but you lost it at one point.
Yes, this was venture capital. It was a CEO of an ethic bank that he left the bank and used employees of the bank, used customers of the bank to build this, they call it a sustainable group. So all of us, we were 110 shareholders. We invested 10 million euros. And in 3 years, this guy spoiled all that money. He was bank thinking. When you are entrepreneurship, you have your own company, you see every dime, every cent of your investment. But bankers have a different point of view. They think they know everything, and they collapse. And this was this guy was, I mean, how can I say this? Narcissist, you know. He was the best in everything. So I think we follow him too much. And the good thing is that we learn from these experiences, and that's life. And when you fail, and you come up walking again, you're in a different stage, mature, and you learn things, and I think it's for better in life. If people don't fall down, you won't mature. And I think it's important.
Because this venture pushed you towards ukuleles,
exactly.
A kind of divergence from what you've been working with your whole life, which took you to Fiji, which I understood you've been there before, and then you decided to return.
Exactly.
How was that experience?
Well, it's like Hawaii 80 years ago, a very wild place. People don't need to work because they have this wonderful richness of fishes and also the vegetation there. They don't need to work. They're the most happiest place on the earth. So for me, it was challenging to work with these guys because they come anytime, very flexible, viva la vida. So I said, hey guys, this is different. We need production, we need a timetable, we need quality. So it was challenging at the beginning.
They were living well. They were living the way we should all.
They live better than we do. They're more happy because they don't need nothing.
No.
They don't need nothing. They live in huts and wood huts, and they're always happy. And they have this kava. They cook this kava and it's like you drink it, and it makes you a bit crazy. And you say to yourself, is this the type of life they have? I mean, when I was working there, my car was a small boat. I was from one island sleeping and going to the other one where the workshop was. So it was a totally different world. Or you fish a tuna fish, and suddenly a big shark eats your tuna fish. So it's like Jurassic Park. You know, it's a wild place. I was very blessed to work there. Great people. I left my seed and my legacy there. You see, 100 years ago, Fiji, they were eating by themselves. And the British pastors went there and spread the gospel. And they don't eat between themselves. There was peace. And from 100 years now, it's amazing how their faith and how they change their thinking on generations, and it's really an amazing experience to go there. I would recommend to go there. That area of the world, like New Caledonia, Samoa, Fiji, is unique.
So how long were you there for?
5 months.
5 months?
Yeah. At the last month of Fiji, I got dengue. Dengue is a mosquito bite that really can kill you. So I was 1 month, I was 3 weeks very sick with a dengue bite, and that's when I came back to Spain. So for me, that was a lesson that every day is a miracle in life, because I almost died there.
It was a near-death experience.
Yeah, death experience. So I was really blessed again, coming back to Spain to see my family and start again to get my company back. The Fiji project was good for me because I was out of the atmosphere of all the court legal system. I was far away. My family supported me, and I was helping a project to the Fijian people because I'm a specialist of building guitar factories or ukulele factories with my experience. And I was well paid, and it was wonderful. So that helped me in my psychology way of all the pressure that happened.
In the first part of a two-part interview, Amy Egan was talking to Spanish guitar maker Manuel Rodríguez III. Earlier, we heard Somewhere Over the Rainbow, as sung by Israel Kamakawiwo Ole, accompanying himself on the ukulele. And in the background now is Colombian singer Juanes, who plays a Manuel Rodríguez guitar, with the MTV version of his hit song La Camisa Negra, the black shirt.
Tengo la camisa negra, hoy mi amor está de luto. Hoy tengo en el alma una pena y es por culpa de tu embrujo.
You're listening to the English language service of Radio Exterior de España, broadcasting from Madrid, and I'm Justin Coe. For myself and my colleague Amy Egan, thanks for tuning in, and please do join us again in the future for more broadcasts from Madrid.
Maldita mala suerte la mía, que aquel día te encontré por beber del veneno malevo de tu amor. Yo quedé moribundo y lleno de dolor, respiré de ese humo amargo de tu adiós. Desde que tú te fuiste, solo tengo la camisa negra, porque negra tengo el alma. Yo por ti perdí la calma y casi pierdo hasta mi cama. Cama, 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 te digo con disimulo que tengo la camisa negra y debajo tengo el difunto.
Radio Exterior de España.
English Language Service.
Coming up next is the second part of Amy Egan's interview with Manuel Rodríguez III of Manuel Rodríguez Guitars, in which Manuel talks about losing his company and then getting it back, and also about just what goes into making one of his guitars.
Well, I found out about you and your business because I received an email about your return, your great return.
Yeah.
So, and it was
Guess
there.
it's back, yeah.
Because it was there when I saw that you had a company and lost it. I was like, where is he returning from? Who is he?
Rebirth.
Yeah, a rebirth. And that's when I went back and I was like, on one hand, I was like, wow, the company is called Manuel Rodríguez and he lost, he was kicked out, which must have been a huge blow. It must have been horrible because that's your father's legacy, your grandfather's. You just told the whole story. It goes back generations. It goes back hundreds, 100 years. So I can imagine that must have been. How did the whole process of getting your company back? It was just legalities, or what was that like?
Well, the first thing I got back is my name, because I licensed my name. A recommendation to all entrepreneurships around the world, if is listening this message, is please don't leave your name. Always have control of your name brand. License if you need to do a venture capital project. Please keep it under control on your hands.
Don't give your name away.
Never.
It's like Rumpelstiltskin.
Correct. Very good example. Because it's the most valuable thing you have. Because you can build out a factory anywhere else, but a name is there, and it's your name. It's grabbing your heart. So that's my recommendation for the listeners who's listening to this program. And first thing is, I licensed the brand to Tomangeva, and we done this agreement worldwide to keep the name running. So in Romania, we were making guitars since about 2 years. And then finally now I'm trying to get my building, and we'll start, if God wishes, in May, the made in Spain guitars.
The factory
In
in
Toledo.
Toledo that Alison and Frank and Justin visited.
Exactly.
So you don't have that right now.
Right now, no, I'm getting it back in May.
So operation still running that, or is it just closed down?
Just stopped. We are making the guitars in our homes.
Whoa.
So we keep running the expensive guitars with my luthiers in our homes
Wow.
to keep the name running. So Romania factory is making the low price ones, and we're making in our homes expensive ones. And then when we get in May, we will do a big splash opening with many musicians.
How many luthiers do you have? Luthier, I guess, is
Guitar makers.
Guitar
Yeah,
makers.
That's right.
How many do you have employed? How many people are working
Right
from
now
home?
we have 5 or 6 only, and then when we start, we'll have 10 or 11.
You'll bring people back, I'm guessing, that
Yes, the
you
best
had to...
ones. Yeah, because before we used to make all type of instrument, the cheaper ones and expensive ones. But Spain is too expensive with all the social taxes nowadays, so we'll make only the expensive ones. So with only 5 or 10 people, it's enough.
I guess the expensive ones being made in Spain is the best bet because they're Spanish guitars,
Exactly.
and it adds extra value to something that's already expensive.
Exactly. And also that workshop is ready to run up, just start working.
Just turn on the lights.
That's it. That's it. Put the sound. We have a wonderful sound power plant that we are making all the guitar with sound power, and we have woods there from 100 years.
Wow. What kinds of woods?
Brazilian rosewoods, mahoganies, ebony, spruce tops from my grandfather. Yeah, that's my gold.
And they're trees that were cut down 100 years ago?
Yes.
That's how the wood
Yes,
the
this
wood
is like wine cellars that they're there for years and years drying.
Oh, and does that make it better?
The better it's dry, the better it sounds. The older the wood is, the better instrument it is. As I explained you before, the more narrow the grain is on the top, the growth is slower, it sounds better. Everything more slow is better quality in any products.
I'm like the water when your ship rolled in that night. Rough on the surface, but you cut through like a knife. And if it was an open shut case, I never would have known from the look on your face. Lost in your current like a priceless wine. The more that you say, the less I know. Wherever you stray, I follow. I'm begging for you to take my hand, wreck my plans, that's my man. Life was a willow and it bent right to your wind. Head on the pillow, I could feel you sneaking.
You've got your company back, and we're hoping you get your factory back soon. What else is in the future for Manuel Rodríguez Guitars?
We are with this movie project that I explained before. It's a documentary that the name is The Last Guitar, La Última Guitarra. We have involved many famous artists, Carlos Santana, Sting. The list is very long. Even Taylor Swift and many. We want to have great women musicians, color musicians, and feminine musicians involved, and young people. So
I love Taylor Swift.
yeah,
I
she's
just
great.
have to say it.
Yeah, she's great. She's great.
I love her.
And also flamenco player like Raimundo Amador, El Tomatito. So we're going to mix that type and give them a flamenco guitar to all of them. And I want to have an interview of 10 minutes of each musician, say, what do you think of Spain and what do you think of the Spanish guitar? And then in between, I'll be explaining, as I'm doing now, the history and all the challenges we had in 115 years building guitars.
So this is a documentary
Yes.
film. Do you have any idea of when a release will happen?
It will take about a year.
It will take a year?
Yeah.
Who's producing it?
Netflix and Sequoia
Ooh.
are doing it, and I have a good connection with the president of Universal Music, Narcís Rebollo, and he's helping me a lot. And he's also maybe in the future investing in our company. We will see.
The more that you say, the